Call this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to West Lincoln Council. This is meeting number 4. It is Monday, January 26th. Regional Councillor Witteveen sends his regrets for this evening, so there'll be no report from the region as of this evening. And we're going to start with the Singing of O Canada, led by Smithville Christian High School. So if you'll stand, please. Thank you. Before beginning the meeting, I just want to make a couple of comments regarding procedures. So comments from the public for a matter that is on the agenda may be provided in person by attending the meeting and advising the chair during request to address an item on the agenda section of the agenda. Secondly, for those individuals that are unable to attend the meeting, this meeting or any other meeting, on the day of the meeting, you may submit comments for matters that are on the agenda by either emailing nfiorentino@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 on the day of the meeting. Comments submitted will be considered as public information and read into the public record, or alternatively by contacting the Clerk's Department to request a Zoom link to attend the meeting virtually. And tonight's council meeting will be live streamed as well as recorded and available on the township's website by visiting events.westlincoln/meetings. I'm going to begin with the land acknowledgement statement. The Township of West Lincoln, being part of Niagara Region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattahawkwa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Township of West Lincoln, as part of the Regional Municipality of Niagara, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. And Councillor Chichok, you have the opening petition.
Yes, I do, Your Worship. Thank you. We gather together here today, intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, guided by understanding and wisdom. We seek to serve with respect for all. May our personal faiths give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us.
Thank you, Councillor. Members of Council, are there any changes in order of items on the agenda for this evening? Okay, seeing none. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest? Conflict? Okay, you need to have your microphone on. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Mayor, it was noted in planning with regards to property on concession 2.
Okay, thank you. And I think we still have that, Madam Clerk.
Madam Mayor, we do have that, but if it could be repeated for this meeting, it would be appreciated.
That I am declaring a conflict with regards to that application with regards to a granny suite on property at concession 2. I believe it was 8399. I could be wrong.
Yeah, and so that would be 9.3, number 4, right? So
9.3, number 4. That is correct, and it is 8399. Okay. So,
and then, Madam Mayor, I believe, I'm just looking to see if it's still highlighted here, but I had declared a conflict during the draft budget process regarding the library board requesting for a budgetary matter. Since my wife sits on that board, I had disclosed a perceived conflict of interest, so I just note that again. I note that originally I filled out the paperwork for that, but just for the sake of this meeting, I thought I would
Okay, thank you,
redeclare that.
Counselor. Okay, good, thank you. Anything else from anyone? All right. So then we're going to go to the section that's called Request to Address Items on the Agenda. Requests to address items on the agenda are restricted to specific items as follows per section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw. And under that procedural bylaw, it says there shall be no comments from the public permitted at council unless A, a specific appointment has been scheduled, or B, an item is included under the other business or communications or appointments section of the agenda and relates to a matter which would normally be dealt with at committee. Are there any members of the public present who wish to present a specific item on the agenda as permitted by section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw? Okay, and seeing nothing further, I don't see Mr. Sues here. So I think that, I do know that sometimes he's reliant on Niagara Regional Transportation, and so I think we will proceed with 7.2 and reverse them if that's fine with everyone else. Members of council, I hope that's fine. Okay, so we'll do that. So we have a presentation that I think has been preloaded, right, from the Ontario Plowmen's Association, re the 2025 International Plowing Match and Rural Expo. So please come forward. Kathy, are you the spokesperson?
Yes, I am, but Renata is also going to have a portrait as well.
Okay, so both of you then. Okay, well, welcome to West Lincoln Council, and when you're ready to proceed, we're ready to listen. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's certainly a pleasure for me to be here and to meet all of you. So, Mayor Ganan, councilors, staff, and our visitors, we're pretty excited about bringing the International Plowing Match and Rural Expo to your community. And tonight we just wanted to show you some details and some information that we have already put in place. So the Ontario Plowmen's Association was formed in 1911, and they planned for 2 years and then held the first plowing match in 1913 on what was Sunnybrook Farms, which is now Sunnybrook Hospital in downtown Toronto. It stayed there for 2 years and then began to move around. So IPM 2025 will be the 106th, and I know the math doesn't work, but the first reason was in 1918, it was to be in Ottawa at the Canadian Experimental Farm. It was stopped because of a pandemic. So we did some research in 2020 and found a little more out about that. So it did not happen during the Second World War, and then of course when the COVID hit, we missed 2 years. Oops. So in 2025, the IPM will be at the West Niagara Fairgrounds and then surrounding farmers' fields, and we're really excited. The Tented City is being hosted on a fairgrounds for the first time in 2024. So we're going to be in Lindsay at their fairgrounds. So we're going to get all the wrinkles ironed out. So when we come to your community, we'll be ready. Oops, sorry. So here's some pictures from the early years, and the only time that the IPM was held in Niagara region was back in 1926. So bringing it back to this community is huge for all of us. The International Plowing Match is the largest event of its kind in North America. We're one of only 2 events, farm shows, that goes from a different location each year. And I always say that our greatest strength is that we move around, different location each year. Our greatest challenge is that we move around each year because we do start over again for each match. Tented City, and this is where it'll be on the fairgrounds, and you can see that's just a shot of one of the crowded streets during the event. In addition, we have a fully serviced with water and hydro RV park with a minimum of 500 sites. They have a special tent where entertainment each night. And we're looking at negotiations are ongoing for the land adjacent to the fairgrounds. And here's just some of the sights and sounds of an IPM. We were talking about it earlier today. The Canadian Cowgirls are a huge part of our event. Entertainment. You can see we have the Enviro Farm, and this is a 2-scale environmentally correct farm. We build it basically for the students, but it is certainly well received by everyone. And there you can see the Premier, he's out in the plow fields doing his thing. In the Tented City, we have about 500 exhibitors, musical entertainment, non-musical, rural living displays. We're called Rural Expo for a reason, because we know that we do attract the urban and the rural non-farm residents as well. Our education program is really strong. It follows the Ontario curriculum. It's sponsored by Hydro One. Last year we had about 6,000 students. We range anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 each year. Oops, I'm sorry, I keep going the wrong way on this. As I said, it's not unusual for us to have 8,000 to 10,000 students, and it is all very much structured for them. We invite all the commodities to be involved, and it's really a great day for the kids. They, of course, like to leave the education area and get out and see the big tractors and all the big equipment, but they have some lessons to learn first. Our event is built on tradition, and we have things like the opening day parade, and this continues to be sponsored by Bruce Power. And we're also the only event in the province of Ontario where the legislature adjourns for the day so all the MPPs can attend the IPM. And it seems to be a command performance for all of them. They are there, they're engaged, they're in the parade. And I say my biggest challenge to having all those politicians in one place at one time is to make sure that I have the right colored tractor for the right party leader. And that becomes serious stuff. We also have a Queen of the Furrow program. She's a wonderful ambassador, not just to the IPM and the Ontario Plowmen's Association, but to agriculture in general. And this year's Queen is Mel Karpinko. She is from the Peel-Dufferin region. And of course, the heart of the IPM is the plowing competition, and we have plowing competitors from throughout Canada and the United States, and every once in a while from Europe. So here's some highlights from 2023. We're still just doing the final financials, but we had 68,366 people. That's down from our traditional numbers, but it's certainly increasing post-COVID. We know that COVID did a number on all events, so we're happy with the constant upswing. And as I mentioned, Premier Doug Ford is there, the leaders of the provincial opposition, certainly all the cabinet ministers, and we have a great rapport with them. We also have pretty neat entertainment, such as the Mudmen, the Canadian Cowgirls. We have the Ram Rodeo, and Amber Marshall, the CBC's Heartland star, is with us on a regular basis. We're actually bringing her back for 2 days this year because she's got a series of children's books. So we're going to have her spend some time in the education area, as well as the Saturday rodeo. Each year we do a survey. It's done individually, independently, for us to determine where we need to improve and what our stats are. So here's some. Studies show that there's a $25 million positive economic impact by tourist and event operations. What we can't measure is the impact after the event. And we know that our visitors are extremely loyal, but that's not something we can measure unless we try to convince our exhibitors to share that. So 28% of our visitors in the past year were local, and 72% were non-local. So the definition, of course, of non-local with the government is 40 kilometers or outside of Ontario. So that translates into dollars coming into your community through fuel purchases, hotel stays, restaurants, and many other things. So this is what we end up many times, and this is the some of the hotels in Dufferin County that no vacancy happens pretty quickly. Something I've asked of our survey is to talk about the buying power of our visitors. And here you can see that $291 million of farm supplies and inputs were anticipated to be spent by our visitors in the next year. $252 million on tractors and farm equipment, $243 on building and renovation supplies, $89 on animal-related supplies, and $38 million on lawn tractors, ATVs, UTVs, and snowblowers. We'll expand that when we come into your community to talk about some more of the crops that are grown and the industries that are in your community. We have two presenting partners. One is Hydro One. They are an in-kind sponsor, and they come in and they put in any of the primary lines that are needed. So if there's some additional needed, for instance, at the fairgrounds, or all of it in the RV park, that's what they will do. Ontario Mutuals have been with us for a long time, and they're a large cash sponsor. So these are some of the people that we see as partners in our success. None of us can do this alone. So we looked at community leaders, and we sure found some great ones. We had local volunteers. We had a recruitment day a few weeks ago. We had about 100 people there, which was, for us, was a huge first crowd. We thought that was great. We'll turn to local businesses and organizations for their help, local sponsors, and of course the region and the municipalities. We look to provincial volunteers, and they're members of the Ontario Plowmen's Association or affiliates, and then we work on a provincial basis for sponsors, businesses to attend as well. So the IPM is a combination of local committee volunteers and staff, plus the provincial committee volunteers and staff, and everything we do together to make this event work. We have a very solid structure that we use, and certainly it mirrors all the committees provincially and locally. So nobody's left out there alone. We're always there to help. We have an official legal document called the hosting agreement that defines the responsibilities, and it also sets out the terms of the profits. And the profits are split 50-50, so that 50% of the profits stay in your community. And we really recommend that they be spread as much as possible to all charities, not-for-profits. Much has gone to hospitals and to healthcare, but that decision will be made strictly by the local committee. So our local committee is already incorporated. They've put together their board of directors of 9. They have a secretary, they have a chair, and now they're starting to develop the committees. There are about 50 committees, and we have that many to make it into bite-sized pieces for people, so no one has to devote their whole time. It's a set period of time, so we find it easy to get volunteers. And there is a committee for everything, and we have guidelines for every committee. So the volunteer recruitments, we'll continue to have some more of those. They'll be held throughout the region so that we can have the entire region involved. And then we'll set up a series of workshops to zero in on the responsibilities and the ideas of those committees. The Plowmen's Associations, we have 44 plowing associations across the province. So the ones in this zone have already stepped up and said that they want to help. So we appreciate their help and their guidance and their expertise. So now I'm going to turn it over to Renata. She's going to talk about the volunteers and then some other parts that are so important to us.
Okay, thank you for your portion, Kathy.
You're most welcome.
And welcome, Renata.
Oh, here we go. My first time at this. I'm Renata McGilvery. I'm a local resident of Smithville, and I also, I'm the second vice at the West Niagara Fair, so this is a good combination of presenting the IPM and making things work with the fairgrounds. So here we go. Let's see if I can work this like this. Okay, volunteers are the key to the success for the IPM. I'm a co-chair with Ron Moore, and we're busy planning the IPM for 2025. The board of directors started meeting and is developing a group of committees that will work closely with the Ontario Plowing organization. The OPA past president, Mel Switzer, who's right here, has provided important information and guidance and has agreed to continue to monitor as a mentoring role. In addition to the financial legacy outline hosting agreement, volunteers who take the opportunity to be involved in the IPN will be rewarded with lasting friendship, community pride, and perhaps of all, a leadership legacy. IPM volunteers have opportunities to further develop leadership skills, which after the IPM exchange their roles in community volunteering, their changing careers and government. There are two distinct components to this partnership. The first one is in-kind sponsorship and perhaps cash sponsorships, which we are not looking for the West Lincoln community. We were asking if West Lincoln and our local community can have a showcase display at the IPM. I've been at the fair, at the IPM, at the Dufferin Plowing Match, and it was a nicely done display, and I'm looking forward to our display at our IPM in 2025. Public work region and the municipalities, possible access to in the field. We might need help with some of the culverts for making roadways to have access to the fields. Assistance in installing and removing event-owned snow fence. What they're looking here for is two of the local region people to help from every community to help out with the snow fence setting up and removing so that all the communities are involved and the onus doesn't fall on just one community. They're asking for help with disposal of gray water and black water, assistance in securing disposal services for garbage and recycling, and health units confirm requirements and provide necessary forms, inspection prior to opening, and periodic inspections during the event. So the building department is confirm requirements and provide necessary form, permits, inspection prior to opening, and periodic inspection during the event. Fire department will need inspections, and when I was talking to the co-chair for the Lindsay Fair, and he was saying that because this is at a fairgrounds, the fire plan and emergency plan is already in place, so this will make it a lot easier being done at a fairgrounds than setting it up in a local field. Emergency calls, we're going to need help with police, fire, ambulance, that kind of thing. So paramedics to be determined based on availability of services. Site protection. Paid duty officers on the event. There will be private security companies on site too, but we still would need some local presentation. And the signage, permission to erect site signs on the farm properties, permission to erect directional signs immediately prior to the event, invitation to the regional and municipalities to erect IPM welcome signs throughout the area. Traditional, the host municipality offers a loan. I don't think we're looking for the loan from the local municipality at this point for the IPM. The funds are used to start up, in particular for items like the printing, souvenir book, but we're not looking for this. It is always recommended that any loan be paid to the local committee in installments. As large or small as you choose, IPM encourages you to keep it simple and reasonable priced. I don't know what we're going to do with this. This is Okay, okay. The host community has much to showcase and will experience a significant return on investment for years to come. Oh, we lost it. You need not repeat what other regions and counties have done. In fact, we urge you to right-size the county showcase. Remember, this is 5 days in a farmer's field. We're going to be on the fairgrounds. It's not as bad. Road reconstruction, we're not asking. Extra grass cutting or anything like that. Engineering services for water lines or excessive staff time. We are asking for a motion in support of hosting the 225 EPM and commitment to in-kind sponsorship, if desired, participation through the county showcase display. I think that's the end of it. So thank you for having us here. And I have some printed copies of this. I don't know who I can leave them with. Can I leave them with the clerk? Okay. And
So are you willing to take questions from council?
I will try and
I see
answer
a
them
nodding
as
head behind you, Renata. They're not going to leave you hanging to dry.
I will answer them,
all
and
yourself.
I'm sure I have good help behind me here.
Exactly. So there were nodding heads behind, so I was not trying to put you on the spot. But are there members of council who have a particular question regarding the presentation? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Riley.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for bringing this opportunity to our community. I think there's a lot of potential here, and I think what you guys are asking is very reasonable. I guess just a couple of things that come to mind. I guess first is I just noticed on your last slide there, you can even look up there, at least on my side here. Well, hold on, what page is that? You have it on yours actually quicker than mine. We have a page that says coming to Grassy Niagara September 16th to. Oh, you just moved it.
Oh, the Grassy one, yeah.
Can we change Grassy to West Lincoln? I feel like if we're going to embrace this as a community, it'd be appropriate to have it recognized as West Lincoln and not necessarily just Grassy Niagara. Or
West Niagara.
well, I'd focus on West Lincoln, but
list them all,
okay.
because I'm not sure how West Lincoln converts.
You might have to come up and speak to the mic there for.
Yeah.
So we will just interject with the fact that Grassy, of course, is a hamlet that is partially in West Lincoln and partially in Grimsby, and we know that their mailing address for the fairgrounds is, but they are the West Niagara Fairgrounds, and we are in West Lincoln. So they're actually situated in West Lincoln, and that's to the
Yes,
councillor's
that's-
point, I think.
That's exactly what I was referring to. So however, I guess your branding is going to be with that, if it can make sure that it's, as we try to right-size this, it's inclusive to our municipality in some respect, I think that would go a long way with our residents.
Absolutely, and as the host municipality, we can certainly justify doing that and want to do that. So we will probably say West Lincoln, and is it municipality of? No, it's just
Yeah.
township.
Township,
Perfect.
yes.
I like that better.
It sounds more rural.
Yeah, I'm a farm girl. So then we would say Township of West Lincoln, Region of Niagara, Grassy, Ontario. So I think
Perfect.
we get them all.
Yes.
I think that's important that we do,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that'd be great. That's realistically just kind of what stood out initially. And so if I can, put that out there, you guys figure out how you want to do it, that'd be great when you come back to us. I guess the other question I had, I'm just trying to bring my slide up here. I don't see a motion before us tonight on the agenda, but I see in your presentation here, you're asking for a motion of support, which I think is something we can achieve this evening. I don't want to leave you guys hanging or have to deal with this later because it's not currently on our plate right now. I just want to get a confirmation. So when we're asking for a commitment and kind support, I guess this is through my mayor to our acting CAO. Does this tie us into any? I know they're not asking for cash donation, but there's going to be some kind of resource required in terms of staffing and how that works. I know they're asking for abundance of staff, but at this point, if we were to support this in principle, does that still tie us into any other commitment, or can this still come back at a later date if we need to approve budgetary requests? So I'm going to our CEO first, through you, Madam Mayor, to our CEO, if she could speak to it.
So go ahead, Diane.
She's the appropriate one to speak to it.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, to Councillor Riley. I think if council were to have a motion in support of hosting, that would be fine. In terms of the in-kind sponsorship, just looking at this, I think some of it would involve our partners at the Niagara region, because some of those services are actually offered through them. So I don't want to commit to all of the in-kind sponsorship until we do a little bit of investigation on our part. But I think just to support hosting it would be fine.
Okay, perfect. So at the appropriate time, Madam Mayor, I would ask that we support it in principle, or however, I see the clerk had spoke to you.
Well, so the clerk is looking at it from a different perspective, but let's just leave it for a minute and let
Perfect.
the rest of the questions go.
As long as that can be addressed when the time comes, I'll move that.
We won't forget about it. Okay, so Councillor Chichon.
Well, Madam Mayor, at the beginning of this term, we did a strategic plan that we focused on our agricultural heritage and the agricultural area. And I'm so pleased that the plowing match is coming here to enrich that exercise, because we have about 768 kilometers of roads stretching across this fine municipality. And that's why we don't have big facilities, because we spend it to keep our people from the country coming in and disturbing the people with our tractors and combines, or their cars coming out to see us. Anyway, the reason I say that is we're very, very happy to have you here. And I take counsel from our our treasurer and acting CAO. Tonight would be inappropriate. We're passing our budget for this year, and we haven't done it yet. So making a commitment financially would maybe be a bit premature, but certainly everyone here in West Lincoln, West Niagara, because the fairgrounds is owned by us, but it is a partnership with Lincoln. And I know you're going way past us. Mel in Bimbrook is going to be getting, I remember helping over there and for the fairs. So I think we're going to need from here to Kingdom Come to get the appropriate number of volunteers for a 5-day stint. So I don't want anybody to feel excluded. So we will remind ourselves that we do have part ownership. We have residency of the fairgrounds, but we have partners to work with as far as the ownership. So, Mrs. McGilvery has already pulled me in to do something on liaison between council and the IPM, but I'm sure we'll have lots of other opportunities to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Trombetta.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And yes, I just want to just add to what the colleagues said across the table. We are in full support of obviously this international plow match. I can't see someone like myself and actually other members of committee that attend the Caister plow matches every year. We're in full support of these things, and I love going every year for my beef on the bun and watching, all the locals come out there at the Caister plow match. So having something like this in our community is just going to be nothing but great. Going to bring big support for our community. Now, if I'm correct, this is next year, September, right? So I don't have any opposition of saying that we can't support. We can do obviously support for this this year, but obviously financial next year. We'll take a look and we'll bring this back obviously at this time next year and see what's available. And again, I can't wait to see this come in and be a part of this somehow, because like I said, I've been to the Caister one and I've always enjoyed going to that one every year, and this is just going to be bigger. Hopefully. Caister can still happen, but I don't know if it's still if it will, and then maybe everybody's going to come over there in September. But however the case may be, it's going to be exciting to see in this community. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any further things?
Madam Mayor, can I just add, we purposely came to you first because we see you as the host community. We have every intention next to go to the region, so.
That was my question, so
Yeah,
I'm
so
glad you're answering that.
So, I think we thought that was the right thing to do. So I don't think any of us had any expectation that there would be any financial decisions made tonight. We certainly will be going to the region with a bigger ask, and then we'll see. But if we can go to the regional council with your support, that means a lot to us.
And that was my question that I had written while you were talking. Will you be going directly to speak to the region with this presentation? So, and I assume that your answer was
Yeah,
yes,
and we know that the regional chair was once the Minister of Tourism, so he knows the plowing match, so that I think will help us too.
Absolutely, thank you. So I'm going to go, actually, because our clerk said that best to come back with staff direction, but I think perhaps we're ready for a resolution in principle. Is that what you were assuming, Madam CAO? that we can do an in principle resolution?
Uh,
So that at least they can then go to the region and say West Lincoln is in support of it.
Through you, Mayor, if it's all right with the clerk, then I would support that, but I will defer to her.
Okay, so my presumption is because our clerk is relatively new to our area and doesn't appreciate the importance perhaps of a plowing match coming to West Lincoln, that she was probably guarding us and giving us advice in terms of what would normally happen under general circumstances, but I think that if you could, a simple resolution craft, that would be.
Yes, Madam
Probably
Mayor,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
think the resolution that I'm hearing coming from members is that the Township of West Lincoln endorse the hosting of the IPM. Now, I'm not sure if, at the will of council, if we can add a second one to say the staff be directed to come back with a report working with, the Ontario Plowmen's Association in terms of providing additional information, seeing that this is not until 2025, and then there's a further report coming to Niagara Region. So I think it would be relevant to bring that information back to council. So perhaps we can add that as a second recommendation as well.
Okay, and I'm seeing some nodding heads. I think that that's probably a safe thing to do. Want your paper back? So any further comments or questions while we're waiting for the clerk to? No? Okay, Councillor Bradrick.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mayor. It's a very exciting event that's coming our way, and when I look at my calendar, just a quick question, I see that probably segues from the West Niagara Fair. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. Yeah, we will be 2 weeks after the fair is over.
Very good.
So they'll tear down and we'll set up really quickly.
Yes. Oh, I thought it was just 1 week, so that's what I was a bit curious.
Yeah.
I probably didn't look at the calendar correctly, so thank you. That's it.
You'll have some exhausted volunteers.
Yes, we will. We're going to bring in some recruits from outside.
They'll need it, I'm sure. They're a hardworking group, but they will need some support for sure.
So,
Mr. Ryder?
yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So through you, back to our presenter, just, I guess, maybe seeking a little extra clarification for myself as well as staff of what is expected in terms of the county showcase display. It sounds like there was an extraordinary display put on by another municipality, and to ensure that we're kind of the same frame of mind, could you just, would you be able to share what that expectation would look like?
So traditionally, it's done, it starts at the region or the county, wherever we are, and they make have the discussions with the municipalities to say, we're going to do a big county display that features everything there is to see and do in Niagara. Or they can say, okay, so we're going to get a tent this size and we're going to divide it off into municipalities and you do your display as you want. It's strictly up to you. My only recommendation is keep it simple. Don't spend a lot of money on it. We've had a 30-foot waterfall built. Don't need to do that.
Yes.
And my recommendation is I like mulch and pop mums, and that makes a lovely display in the fall. So don't spend your taxpayers' money on thinking just to make it bigger than what it was in Lindsay or wherever.
So you're looking just for some kind of representation there from the
Yeah,
municipality?
Yeah, I think if your
Simple,
if your
sweet.
municipality is centered on agriculture, then that's what you would do. Or if there's something in, you want to develop a certain highlight of your community, then do that. So,
It's okay, cheap is music to my ears, so I like hearing that, so thank you very much.
I just believe it can be beautiful without being excessive.
Excellent, perfect. And when the time is
That's a
right,
nice way to put it, actually.
yeah, and when the time's right, Madam Mayor, I'll move that resolution.
Okay, thank you then.
Just for clarification, I think a lot of people in the room and who are out there listening to us through cyberspace, they might, if they've attended the Twilight meeting or the dinner at the dairy, we have a couple of crops that we have field crops, and we have cows, we have dairy cows, and we have a lot of chickens, commercially raised, and eggs. And But we have dinner at the dairy once a year, and that has a big tent where a lot of children's activities, as well as featuring and showcasing dairy-related things, occur there, as well as ice cream. So not that we would be doing that at the plowing match, but I think we could probably come up with something that would be an adventure for people to understand what West Lincoln is all about. All the cows and our one winery, and but we do have a lot to be proud of. We have a lot of diversity, but very much centered around agriculture. So we will definitely look forward to hosting it. And by the way, we also have a plowing match in Gainsborough. But it's okay. I'm going to make Councillor Trombetta come to ours this year too.
Okay.
So the clerk is ready with the resolution.
there beef?
We cannot do that. All right, so. No. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the resolution that I have drafted is a two-part resolution, the first being that the Township of West Lincoln endorses the hosting of the 2025 IPM and Rural Expo, and the second, that staff be directed to review the request from the Ontario Plowmen's Association and provide a further report to the Admin Finance Committee respecting this matter.
So Councillor Riley has said we should move that. That's satisfactory. And Councillor Chichok, second that, please. Did you want just a show of hands, or are we going to put that on? Okay, it's going to be on.
Do you see it?
Yep, just came out. Good. So that is it in front of everybody, hopefully so? Okay. So vote on that electronically. You got everything? Councillor Rayner, did you get that? Got everybody? Good. Okay. And that carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your presentation. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you. Thanks for coming. Okay, well, our second presenter, who was to be our first, has not arrived, so we have no regional councillor remarks this evening, as Councillor Witteveen is away. And so that takes us to number 9, which is confirmation of minutes. So Councillor Rayner, you have the council minutes.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move by myself that the minutes of the open session portion of the January 29th, 2024 regular council meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted, and that the confidential minutes relating to the closed section portion of January 29th, 2024 regular council meeting be accepted, and that the minutes remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with exemptions provided in Section 239 of the Municipal Act.
Thank you. And someone to second that, please? Councillor Bell, thank you. And that vote should be up on your screen shortly. It's there.
Madam Mayor, just Councillor Chichok has stepped away at the moment. She won't be able to vote. She's not back, so just thought you want that noted.
Okay. I think so. Thank you. So is the vote still open? Okay.
Thank you, that was wonderful.
Okay. Everybody? Okay. So you have that now. Okay, we're good? All right, so 9.2 then are the minutes from the special council meeting. And Councillor Chichok, you have that resolution.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes of the February 5th, 2024 special council meeting, draft operating capital budget and the recommendations contained therein be accepted, and that the confidential minutes relating to the closed session portion of the February 5th special council meeting be accepted, and that the minutes remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with exemptions provided in Section 239 of the Municipal Act.
Thank you. And someone to second that, please? Councillor Bradrick, thank you. Any questions or comments about those? Seeing none, that was a specific meeting to the budget introduction, so. Got everybody? Good, okay. So far, the technology is working well.
Oh, don't
Okay,
jinx
I shouldn't have said that, should I? I shouldn't have said it. 9.3 is a public meeting under the Planning Act, and Councillor Riley, you have that.
I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That the minutes of the public meeting held on February 12th, 2024, under Section 34 of the of the Planning Act with respect to 1, backyard chickens, Township of West Lincoln, public consultations, and 2, update of accessible parking regulations, Township of West Lincoln, zoning bylaw amendment, and 3, 1738 Gainsborough Town Line Road, Brad Snippa zoning bylaw amendment, and 4, 8399 Concession 2 Road, James Smith zoning bylaw amendment and temporary use bylaw be accepted.
Thank you. So, Madam Clerk, can we separate out 4 so that Councillor Rayner can vote on 1, 2, and 3? And then just do 4 separately where that's his conflict? Or is that too complicated for our
No,
system?
I feel like, yeah.
Madam Mayor, I believe he can vote on the minutes as a whole to
Because
confirm
he's
them.
read the minutes,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah, he's
so-
just
so
confirming the
you
minutes
confirmed your-
itself.
But the minutes you've read, so that's okay, we can just vote then.
I wasn't here when it was presented.
But you're confirming.
You're confirming the minutes, though. Did you read the minutes?
At the time, but that was not.
You were not in the, we know that, and that's fine.
So within the planning minutes, it's noted that you've declared an interest, Counselor, and as well that you were absent from the meeting. So that's fine. We're just confirming the minutes right now for the entire meeting.
So there's no problem. Okay. Fair enough, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we do. Councillor Chichok, thank you. Okay, and that vote carries as well. There are no communications this evening that I'm aware of, but I do have remarks, of course. You'd be so disappointed if I didn't, right? So, Mayor's remarks for February 26th council meeting. I'm pleased to present this update on activities and events since our last council meeting on January 29th. I'll begin by stating that our hiring committee, struck to begin the process of finding a permanent CAO, has already met twice with another meeting planned for this upcoming Wednesday afternoon. We're very hopeful that we will soon be able to post this position. Just as for our Roma delegations in January, when a package of information about each delegation was required to be submitted at least 1 full week prior to the meeting, so too was the same requirement in place a week in advance of our virtual delegation with the Ministry of Infrastructure held on February 20th. Interim CAO DeFilippis and I, supported by Executive Assistant Jackie Thrower, managed to submit the pre-delegation package on time. It was a last-minute effort, but it was in on time. On Friday, February 9th, I was pleased to attend the Mayor's Cup hockey game in Port Colborne as a team made up of male and female players from many different township departments represented as well. I was unable to attend their Saturday games as I'd already committed to judging speeches at the Legion in Smithville on Saturday afternoon between 2 and 4, exactly when our team was playing. I was very happy to receive a text message from Brad Cunin informing me that they had won both of those Saturday games and were playing in the finals the next morning. This team ended by winning the B Division Championship in a very exciting game. The team represented our municipality extremely well, exhibiting great hockey skills and good sportsmanship. Thanks to all who participated in this tournament, and additionally the many staff members and residents who came out to cheer them on. West Lincoln was well represented in all areas. The evening of February 10th, Councillor Chichok, John, and I were in attendance to support the McNally House fundraising event, Rockin' the Hospice. It was a sold-out event at the West Niagara Agricultural Hall. It was great to see this facility being so well used by the entire community. On Monday, February 12th, I was pleased to do a radio interview with Matt Walker from 88.5 The Lake regarding our upcoming Family Day activities. It was wonderful that Matt provided us with an opportunity to help get the word out to our residents about all of the activities planned for families that day. And you all know how hard it is to get information out, so any opportunity that we have to help spread the word is a good one. The Niagara region has a new Commissioner of Public Works, Terry Ricketts. On February 14th, I was honored to have a meeting here in West Lincoln with Terry, who was making the rounds visiting with mayors in each of the 12 lower-tier municipalities to learn about each municipality and their particular needs. I was pleased to speak with her about West Lincoln in general, using maps of our entire municipality, specific maps regarding our current urban boundary of Smithville, and also our urban boundary expansion area. As well, we discussed the various housing opportunities currently available and those proposed for the future. Terry then followed up that meeting with me with a meeting with Director DePaula, where specific water and wastewater issues were appropriately on their agenda. The morning of February 15th gave me an opportunity to revisit my former teacher role when I was invited to visit Smithville Public School and read orally to the 3 grade 2 classes. I chose to read 2 of my favorites, The Balloon Tree by Phoebe Gilman, a Canadian author and illustrator, and The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. A small plug here for Amazon Prime, which I'd never had before, allowed me to purchase and have delivered almost right away 3 copies of each of those books, thus enabling me to give to each of the 3 classroom libraries a copy of each of those books. Later on that same day, I was asked to do a radio interview regarding our backyard chicken meeting. I was not available to do the interview at the time requested, and so I would like to thank Councillor Riley, as Chair of Planning and also currently Deputy Mayor, for agreeing to take on that interview as spokesperson for the township on that particular issue. Although I have already mentioned in committee last week the huge success of the varied Family Day activities, I want to once again thank our staff who were involved in organizing and running the event of the day. Many hundreds of residents enjoyed the day, beginning with the firefighters' pancake breakfast early in the morning and ending with the sledge hockey game in the late afternoon. It was a day generally filled with something for everyone. On February the 20th, interim CAO DeFilippis and I used our delegation time with PA Sandu, Ministry of Infrastructure, to try to impress upon ministry staff our needs as a small rural municipality for support for ongoing asset management requirements, the need for support with water and wastewater infrastructure to kickstart the growth process for our municipality, and as well, we reminded this ministry of our Roma delegation to the Ministry of Transportation regarding the interconnectivity of these 2 ministries whenever there is discussion regarding a potential new escarpment crossing. We were pleased when on the day of the actual delegation with PA Sandu that we were joined by MPP Osterhoff, who added his support to our efforts. On Thursday, February 22nd, I represented West Lincoln at the joint 3 Chamber of Commerce Business After 5 at the new West Niagara Secondary School, where the main topic was an introduction to the wide and varied opportunities for businesses and the school to work together using co-op students. The school is a bright and beautiful learning environment for just over 1,600 students. There are programs being run that are suitable options for all interests and ability levels of students. And finally, Saturday actually was one of the coldest days this winter for the coldest night of the year walk. I would like to thank Councillors Bradrick and Chichok for their involvement. Our team this year was terrific and was made up of the councillors, staff members Jackie Thrower and Beth Adet, and residents John Gannan, Stephen LaSalle, and Chris Furr. And together we helped to raise approximately $1,000 for this great cause. And those are my remarks for this evening. And that takes us to report of committee, unless somebody has some questions about this last month's activities. Good, thank you. All right, so 12.1, Councillor Riley, are the Planning, Building, and Environmental Committee minutes, and you have those.
Yes, moved by myself that the minutes of the February 12th, 2024 Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted, and that the confidential minutes relating to the closed session portion of the February 12th, 2024 Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting be accepted, and that the minutes remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with Section 239 of the Municipal Act.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chichok, will you second those minutes since you are the Vice Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions or comments about that report? All right, so your vote is there. That vote carries. Thank you. 12.2 is Administration, Finance, and Fire Committee. Councillor Trombetta.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes of the February 20th, 2024 Administration, Finance, Fire Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Thank you. And seconded, Councillor Bradrick. Any questions or comments about those minutes? Okay. Technology continues to be wonderful. Okay, and that also carries. So Public Works and Recreation Committee minutes are next. Councillor Rayner, please.
Let's move on myself with the minutes of the February 2024. Thought I hit it. Sorry, I did try and it didn't work. Moved by myself that the minutes of the February 20, 2024 Public Works and Recreation Committee meeting and the recommendations contained therein be accepted.
Thank you. And Councillor Bell, will you second those minutes? Thank you. Any questions or comments about those minutes? All right, moving right along, you should have, you do. And that also carries. So item number 13 are staff reports, and 13.1 is a report from Fire Chief Dennis Fisher. Information report WLFD-04-2024 West Lincoln Fire Station number 2 update. And Councillor Trombetta, you have the resolution.
Yes, Madam Mayor, moved by myself that information report WLFD-04-2024 regarding West Lincoln Fire Station number 2 update dated February 26, 2024 be received for information.
Thank you. And Councillor Bradrick, second those.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions or comments on that report? Councillor Chichok.
Well, I thought I should speak to it, Madam Mayor, since I was asking for the report in the first place, and I appreciate the effort that the fire chief made to bring this report forward on short order. But I do want to make sure that we are going to get one of these reports at every juncture, every meeting, every committee meeting, and then council, so that people in the community who have been looking at what is happening there might get some idea of what is left to do, and as we get closer, the amount of time that's right there. My understanding from this report, through you, Madam Mayor, to the fire chief, is that we're looking at a possible walkthrough for deficiencies in less than, or in approximately 3 to 4 weeks.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Councillor Chichok, that's correct.
That's great news, and it'd be great news if our budget is still where it was and with the $150,000 difference under budget still being there. Although I have to say that budget kind of went up a lot, so it's just coming down a little, and we'll have to deal with that as time goes on. So I would really like to know and have council informed as to when that walkthrough is going to happen. It's been a long time in coming, and if it doesn't require hard hats and safety boots prior to the grand opening, I think it would be appropriate that we take a look at the facility, at least when the walkthroughs happen, but before its grand opening. That would be appreciated, and I expect that we'll have at least one more monthly meeting to tell us we're reaching that pinnacle.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll see a vote in front of us shortly. He's come back. So the vote will just barely be there, Councillor, when you get seated. That's okay. That's just on the report for the fire hall station number 2. Okay. All right, and that also carries. So 13.2 is interim CAO and Treasurer Donna DeFilippis and interim Director of Finance Caitlin Repolfs. Recommendation report T-05-2024, the 2024 operating and capital budget final report. Before we get to that, I'm just going to say congratulations, Caitlin. This is your first night in the seat officially. Welcome. And Councillor Bradrick kindly agreed to read this resolution. It's a good long one, so just take a deep breath and a sip of water, and you're on, Councillor.
No problem. Moved by myself, Councillor Shelley Bradrick, that recommendation report T-05-2024 regarding the 2024 operating and capital budget final report dated February 26, 2024 be received, and 2, that a 2024 tax levy of $9,709,110, which represents a 6.55% tax levy increase after factoring in assessment growth, be approved, and 3, that the 2024 hospital levy of $226,500 for the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital rebuild be approved, and 4, that the 2024 urban service area levy of $186,320 be approved, and 5, that the detailed 2024 capital program attached as Schedule C and D to this report totaling $10,282,100 be approved, and 6, that council approve debenture financing of $1 million in 2024 in order to finance capital project 941 West Street and Wade Road water main replacement, which has a total budget of $2 million, and 7, that council approved debenturing financing of $3 million in 2024 in order to partially finance the township's contribution towards the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital rebuild, and that 8, that council delegate authority to the CAO to approve in year 2024 budget amendments up to $20,000 per item, and that the treasurer report to council on a regular basis regarding such amendments, and 9, that the balance of capital and special projects for the years 2025 to 2033, as outlined on Schedules E and F to this report, be approved in principle, and 10, that tangible capital asset amortization estimated at $3,545,692 and post-employment expenses estimated at $22,800 be and are hereby excluded from the 2024 operating and capital budget as permitted through Ontario Regulation 248-09.
Thank you, Councillor. So, Councillor Trombetta, will you be pleased to just second that? Thank you so much. Okay, so I know that there will be some questions and comments on this, so is there anyone who would like to start? Well, it doesn't matter. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to, Madam Mayor, to Madam CAO, 20,000 is enough for budget amendments, or?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Trombetta, 20,000 is the traditional amount that the CAO has been able to approve without going to council. What we do is we report regularly if it's less than 20,000. Anything above that would go to council for their approval.
And it's always been that number?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Trombetta, yes. It's always, the CAO has authority up to 20,000, and anything after that goes to council.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll probably come back to you later for some further questions.
Fair enough. Councillor Bradrick?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, through you to the CAO. The rate that's quoted in number 2 as 6.55% tax levy increase, I assume is not the blended rate. Can you, for the public's knowledge, give that to us, or should I direct the question to Caitlin?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Bradrick, the blended rate, once we include the education levy and the regional levy, it's an increase of 5.53 for an average single-family home.
And one further question through you, Mayor, to the CAO or the treasurer. These numbers that have been read tonight, are these exactly what we had discussed at the last committee meeting?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Bradrick, all the adjustments that council requested have been added, and staff just dug a little deeper in order to have an actual 1% reduction.
Okay.
We made an adjustment to the Provincial Offences Act revenue so that we can come as a 1% decrease from last meeting.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chichak, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm still, I'm overwhelmed by the work that staff have done and the fact that it became so obvious in our extended work last week to find additional dollars which were minor in nature. And I know that for sure because my good colleague to my right said, we've been at this for 40 minutes and we've only found $40,000. This is not worth trying to cut. So we've made it to the bottom of the budget that should be where we are. And I just have a couple of questions. I'm reading on page 4 of the report, staff report, about the changes to further reduce the levy and the efforts that were made to come up with a new type of farmers market. Where the heck is the name of it? Park it, farmers market and park it or something. Music market and park it. It sounds great. The only thing I would like to ask through you, Madam Mayor, to the Director of Public Works, Fun and Games, Recreation, I don't know, but have we spoken with the vendors as yet? I know we were behind without having a market manager, and we didn't get the vendors in to have the normal annual review of what it was that was good, what could be improved, etc. So I'm asking whether or not the decisions that have been brought forward, the idea of a Tuesday night, continuing with the Tuesday, but doing it at night, would mean a market from, say, 4 to 7 or something like 3 to whatever, and mingled between the, what do they call those, antique cars or specialty cars and the music in the park. But have we talked to the vendors as yet?
Through the mayor to Councillor Chichak, there may have been some unofficial conversations with some vendors, but we were waiting for this report to get approved before we have an official meeting with the vendors and let them know what our game plan is.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to follow up, I really want to make sure that we have all vendors. I have heard about the informal discussions. I've heard that there has been, I just don't want anybody to get upset. We should have a meeting with the vendors that a number of them are local in West Lincoln, and I actually would give preference to them. So if we're going to have an unofficial, let's just make sure we bring everybody in so that we even the playing field. So my understanding is that we will be looking forward to doing work differently, but that doesn't necessarily mean it would be one person, same person who would handle the market, handle the parade, and or handle any other Canada Day. It might be different people for each of those events. Is that correct? You might not have made that decision already.
Through the mayor to Councillor Chichak, this position will be the lead on the market or the new event that's going to be called the Music Market and Park It. So this position will take the lead on that, as well as take the lead on the Santa Claus Parade event. And then obviously we will rely on some other staff resources to help and assist as needed.
So I guess that what I'm hearing then, Madam Mayor, is that has the township embraced and taken in-house the responsibility for the Santa Claus Parade by this action?
Through the mayor to the councillor, that's correct. The Santa Claus Parade will be a township event and managed by this position.
I wasn't sure that we had done that, Madam Mayor, but if that's fine with my colleagues, I thought that what we had done is we'd say we would look for alternatives and that the event would, hang on, I'm just, okay, was that we would look at alternatives on how we could run the Santa Claus Parade. But if that's in accordance with everyone else's memory, I'll concede.
I could add to that if you want. Just
go ahead.
yes, through the mayor, just to add to my answer, we still will rely on a committee of volunteers, but the way the parade was run in the past, like a subcommittee of council, that's going to change. It's going to be a township event, but we will probably reach out to the community to ask for volunteers to assist with the parade on the parade day and any tasks that are needed to lead up to that day.
So my understanding is that was part of the concern, is that we still need to have volunteers, right? It can't possibly happen with just a couple of staff members doing it. So I think, are you fine with that, Councillor, at that point? Okay, so Councillor Trombetta.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just listening to Councillor Chichak brought up some points through Madam Mayor to the Director DePaula. It's still the consensus that we're still scheduled for the Tuesday night for this market. And I know that was questions of some of my concerns. And just before you answer, Director, and this is just a comment from myself. I know the Tuesday nights or Tuesday afternoons were very tough for. And I'm going to be honest, for even someone who works and, you see, and I've heard it from my constituents, that people are working and then they're bringing their kids to the soccer or karate or baseball. To make it on the Tuesday nights was almost very difficult for a lot of families to attend the market. And now which I'm really excited about, is adding, antique car show or classic cars. Well, a lot of these grandparents are watching the kids while people are at work, and I thought maybe if we could look at alternative dates, like what a beautiful, and just for consensus of the council here, and maybe just throw it out there, a Friday night when you can, get there and see a classic car show, pick up your market food, and then also sit there in the park and listen to some music. Like, I think that's just almost a great event for 4 to 8 weeks, 8 weeks in the summertime, which we're looking at. I just think we really need to visit, especially contributing money to a Tuesday night. I found the success of it was very hard for people to attend to us. And again, it's more or less the commitment that a lot of families have for sports. A lot of families still trying to make it home from work, but I know they were stopping in there on a lot of occasions home from work on Fridays when a lot of parents and stuff don't have as many activities, Madam Mayor, that they do on the weekend that they do committed to the weekday. And I just hope that maybe we can get in touch with the vendors and see if we can try to align my wishes, or to align it back to the Fridays, and see if we get a go and hopefully make this successful for a community. And I can't see it not being successful, especially in the summer months of July and August. Like, especially with, like I said, those 3 categories working together for a Friday night. So those are just my comments, Madam Mayor. I'll probably, once something triggers my brain from another colleague here, I might come back to you again. But
okay. Thank you.
At this moment, I hope we can work on a date.
So, Director, would you like to enter into that?
Yeah, sure. Through the mayor to Councillor Trombetta. Is this on? Yeah. I think what we should probably do is have a meeting with our vendors and see what they prefer, and then we could always report back to this committee and council on what we've determined, what some of our options are, and then we could bring forward a date that we would think would make sense, or maybe a couple dates that make sense, and then council could decide on when they want to have this new event, on what day of the week.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, since I still have the floor here.
You do.
Mm-hmm. The classic car, do you reaching out? Now, I'm a young guy, and I know some people have classic cars, but the demographic for classic, sorry, I can't afford it? No, I can't afford a classic car. I'm a younger person who doesn't have a classic car, and I know some people do, but the majority of people that have classic cars, like possibly my colleague to the right of me, but it doesn't have a classic car.
We know. Make your point.
They have, well, I'm getting interrupted, Madam Mayor, by the classic car collector, apparently, that doesn't have classic cars. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is the people that own classic cars are more, let's say, people have been in this community for many, many years, they've had them in storage and want to bring it out. Have they came to you, through you, Madam Mayor, to the director about possible dates for themselves, someone who's going to coordinate it? Has anything been said that align with them?
Okay. So the idea of a classic car came up, Director, and I think, as well as speaking to vendors, we want to know, I would think maybe more members of council want to know, have you also spoken to some people who might possibly put those cars in, and looking at coordinating a day and a time? I mean, I'm just going to throw out that several people have said to me they'd love for the market to go back to Saturday mornings the way it was years ago. So there's just, there's just lots more discussion, I think, rather than assuming. I did notice that, and I did attend, by the way, the meeting after the 22 season where the Tuesday night was decided upon, but it wasn't really, it wasn't like a vote or anything. There were a couple of people who were very vocal about wanting it to be Tuesdays and no longer Fridays. And they kind of held sway at that meeting. And then just suddenly it was becoming, oh, well, we'll give Tuesday a chance. But some of the actual local vendors at the time did not want to change it to Tuesday. So I think Councillor Chichok perhaps is hearkening back to that meeting as well, where it wasn't really a full discussion with everybody looking at what, I mean, you're never going to please everybody, we recognize that, but looking back to the possibility of making it as great a success as we can. So I think now that you're making it a wider event, then there are more parties that need to be discussed in terms of details, time, date, and so on. So I think both councillors have made good points regarding that.
Yeah, absolutely. All your points are well taken, and we'll reach out to the vendors, have meetings, reach out to different car clubs, and get some kind of consensus on, what day would make sense for everybody. And as I said, we'll report back and
so ultimately,
advise
this is a
council.
budget discussion, not
It's
really
right.
about the details of that.
Yeah.
However, I think before people are comfortable with the changes to the budget, they want to ensure that the market is protected and that it's done appropriately. So, Councillor Chichok again.
Your worship, yes, it is a budget discussion, because had we not had a discussion about the market, Christmas, and Canada Day, I think we had discussed briefly the idea of cutting that position to 25%. That was in my notes. At least that's what I had discussed. It was the way I spoke, perhaps, that didn't put it across. But if we were only going to have one or none of the events, that position really didn't warrant 50%. So now I'm understanding that we are working on that. I'm glad to hear you're working on it. You've got some great ideas. I just would like to throw two things back into the hat. Easter is early, and I would never expect us to be able to achieve an Easter market. But two of the best events, so you want an event coordinator, are the Christmas and Easter. We'll call them markets, but they really were a gathering. I mean, it was, the Kiwanis had a bake sale. We had all kinds of young vendors. It was free for kids, and it was more or less a town event after the Santa parade and somewhere around plant season. As you're devolving into a think tank about when you could do the plant sale, there are vendors at the market that bring plants. And if we did it at the end of May, when people are planting their garden, I don't know, the last moon of May or something. There's a theory about that. I'm not sure when, but if you could at least consider those two. They needn't be big, and I think they pretty much would run themselves. Even if the Horticultural Society doesn't feel that they want to participate this year, both the plant sale and one before Christmas might still be a benefit to the community. And I'll stop there, but that's the reason I'm saying it, because there is a cost to having people to help us with each event. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on any of these items? Are you ready to vote? It's nodding? Okay. Madam Clerk? You waiting for somebody? Councillor Bell having trouble? Can't get it to go, Terry? Okay. Okay, so with a margin of 5-2, our budget passes. Okay, so we have nothing to reconsider, nor do we have any motions to rescind. Are there any items of other business that members of council wish to raise tonight? Councillor Chichok, were you not going to report on two things
I was
this evening?
just looking to see, you said other business.
Well, it's under other business.
I know
but
it is, and-
council remarks.
Thank you. You usually say that, so you had me so confused, I was just going to sit here. I guess following the mayor in her remarks is not easy, but just again, why did the coldest night of the year happen to be Saturday? It was, and why did the mayor convince us that we should be out there helping the needs of others? But we did have a great time, and the cold could not deter us, and the team walked so quickly that next year we're probably going to sign up for a 5K trip through the night. But it was great, and it was wonderful to see the fact that we had raised over $1,000 for the coldest night of the year, and that there was the biggest turnout of people participating on Saturday as they're better than they've done in the past 6 or 7 years. So that's a great achievement, and it was good to be part of it. We didn't really have enough time to walk 5K because on Saturday night we were also there to participate. And if you think that there's not little brainiacs running around this community, I have to tell you, don't ever take anybody on with trivia. The Legion and helped the Kiwanis Club to put on a trivia festival, as we'll call it, because we're going to have more of them, that raised about $3,300 to be invested back in the community. There was about 80 people, plus the volunteers there on Saturday night eating wings and rings, and the trivia pursuit went fast and furious, and we finally had a table of winners. It was great. Everybody had a great time, and then back out into the cold. Over the weekend, if you were looking for children and you didn't see them running around on the ice in West Lincoln, there was another hockey tournament in Port Colborne, which is the Niagara Hockey Tournament that is for the under 11s, under 13s, and I think there was two. There wasn't many in the under 15, but we had several groups in the tournament here from West Lincoln, and I want you to report that in the semifinals of the under 11 group, it was West Lincoln versus West Lincoln. It was hard to know where to sit and when to cry. But the White Beasts beat the Red Phoenix and moved on to the finals and played the home team, the Port Colborne Sailors, and brought home the trophy and a lot of smiles for their parents, the community. And I happened to be there, knowing and being related to one of the under 11s, and I was able to bring greetings by, the mayor suggested that I say something for her, and the kids were just beaming that they were being considered to be hometown heroes. And they're all back now and ready to go back to school, and their heads have unswollen. So good work for them. They did a great job, and they brought home the trophy.
Good, well done. I thought you had that you wanted to say, but all good, all good. Okay, so anything further from anybody? Anything else going on in West Lincoln over the weekend? Okay, so then that takes us to new items of business. Does anyone have a new item of business? As you know, only items that require immediate attention or direction from council. So seeing none, that takes us to confidential matters. We do have a relatively short confidential session that will go on. Councillor Chichok, you have that resolution to take us into confidential?
I do, Your Worship. Moved by myself that the next portion of the meeting be closed to the public to consider the following pursuant to Section 239, Sub 2 of the Municipal Act 2001. That being item 18.1, the Director of Planning, Brian Treble, regarding a legal solicitor client privilege item regarding the Ontario Land Tribunal, legal update on the official plan amendment OPA 63 to be received February 22nd, that was received, sorry, February 22nd, 2024. This is a verbal update, and the applicable closed session exemptions are to receive advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, litigation or political potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or the local board.
Okay, thank you. Someone to second that? Councillor Riley? And the vote on going into closed session should be up shortly. So, yeah, so, well, actually, mine won't come up because I moved it to confidential already, so yes. Sorry. I can't get back. Okay, so we are in confidential. Okay, so we're back in open session, and we have a resolution to receive for information purposes the verbal update that we had during our closed session. So I need someone to move that, please. Councillor Riley, and someone to second it. Councillor Bradrick? No, that was a different one.
Madam Mayor, the system's not pulling up that motion to receive, so if we could just do it by show of hands.
We can do it by
please.
show of hands. Okay, all in favor of receiving the verbal update? Thank you. And now Councillor Trombetta has bylaws for the
Yes, I
evening.
do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Moved by myself, Levy Grant to introduce bylaws 2024-09, 2024-10, 2024-11, 2024-12, 2024-13, and 2024-14, and that all the same shall be considered to be have read the first, second, third time with one reading, and then hereby adopted, and that the mayor and clerk are hereby authorized and assign the affixed corporate seal thereto, any rule of the council to the contrary notwithstanding.
Thank you, Councillor. And someone to second that, please? Councillor Bell. So, Madam Clerk, 19.1 is the bylaw that Councillor Rayner did have an issue with. So where do we stand with that? That was his
that was
declared
declared
conflict, so
conflict.
can we vote on all but 19.1?
Yes, that would be the proper way to do it.
Okay, so we'll vote on everything except for 19.1 in terms of bylaws, and then we'll come back. Councillor, we'll vote on that without you, okay? Okay, so,
We'll have to do it manually.
okay, so we're looking then at voting on 19.2 to 19.6. All those in favor? Any opposed? No? Okay, that carries. And now we'll look at 19.1 by itself. And we're excluding Councillor Rayner. And can we go ahead with that? Okay, so 19.1 is the bylaw that we're voting on. All those in favor of 19.1? And Councillor Rayner did not vote. And so those bylaws are carried. And I will adjourn this meeting at 8:20. Thank you.